The following video contains clips from the movie Planet Lockdown, featuring Catherine Austin Fitts. You may remember her from the movie by Aaron Russo, From Freedom to Fascism. This video is important if you want to know the plans for your future. Plans that you had no input in making and that left unchecked will destroy your way of life and leave your children without a future. Yes, it is that serious, but I did not say hopeless. From digital currency plans to AI, robotics, and satellite systems, she details how it's being used against us from the mindset of Mr. Global. Catch my conclusions at the end.
My name is Catherine Austin Fitts. I'm the publisher of the Solari Report and managing director of Solari Investment Advisory Services. I just published a huge study called The State of Our Currencies. For many decades, the dollar has been the reserve currency. The system is what I would describe as long in the tooth. The central bankers are trying to bring in a new system, but it's not ready to go yet. So they're trying to lengthen the dollar system, and then they're trying to accelerate bringing in the new system. And they have to bring in the new system without anybody quite realizing exactly what it is. Much of the new is being tested and tried and prototyped, and it involves many different industries. I describe the new system as the end of currencies. We're essentially bringing in a new transaction system that will be all digital and essentially end currencies as we know them. The challenge they have is how do you market a system that if people understood it, nobody would want? And of course, the way you do that is with a healthcare crisis. So Mr. Global is my nickname for the committee that runs the world. The defining characteristic of life on planet Earth is our real global governance system is a mystery. And think about it, it's phenomenal we live on a planet and we don't demand to know how our governance system really works. But instead it's a secret. So, I have a lot of high-octane conjecture, as Dr. Fer would say, about who and what that is, but for now we'll call it Mr. Global. So Mr. Global is now implementing robotics. That's one of the new technologies that's really starting to make an enormous difference.
So can you label that?
Okay, so here's our robot and here's our human. And of course, the question for Mr. Global is, which is more efficient doing what? In other words, if I'm supposed to manage the planet and all the natural resources and harvest it to my benefit and make sure, my risk is reduced, how much do I want to use robots for and how much do I want to do humans for? Now, the brilliance of hooking everybody into the cloud with a crypto system is with AI and software, I can have the humans teach the robots through the AI and software how to do all their jobs. So we have the Mr. Global at the top. We have the database and software systems using artificial intelligence. A very important part of this now is the satellite system that's being put up in the orbital platform. And using telecommunications and digital technology, you have the ability 24/7 to track and monitor both your humans and your robots. And the question for Mr. Global is, what's more efficient? If I can do everything with robots, then what do I do with the humans? I don't need them anymore. In other words, what I'm saying is Mr. Global views the human race like livestock, not someone with which they share empathy and, they don't view us as the same species as them. In other words, they have literally broken away and created a separate civilization. They don't think of themselves as part of our civilization anymore.
And who is they?
Well, that's the great mystery, and that's why I call this group Mr. Global. And my personal experiences with many different people in that group and factions, but ultimately, I can't tell you who really controls. What I will tell you is the planet is run by force.
In conclusion, all the chaos we see, the never-ending wars, the global unrest of every kind, the debt and the fear-mongering over a possible nuclear war are all profit-making distractions to hide the global effort to steer us into a new world order and reduce our lives into ones of complete servitude. There's no empathy for humanity because Mr. Global views himself as a different species, a group separate from the rest of us. We're like cattle to them, to be blunt, I know some will say that Mr. Global is Satan himself. Critical thinking says I can't dismiss the idea if I can't disprove it. The question of this day and age is, what can be done to save our way of life when the planet is run by force? The entire human species is in this struggle for freedom. We are not each other's enemies. The enemies are those people behind the curtain. Word for the day, focus. Focus on who the real enemy is, and that is anyone who would try to take away our God-given rights.